Well, obviously, we have to talk about Kanye because Kanye is Kanye. Kanye West has been trotting out Candace Owens. Now, who's playing who here, right? Because I don't know if you have seen on TikTok, this is actually very, very old news to me. And I think this constantly comes up with regards to Candace Owens and the fact that she is 100% a grifter. And she is making money because is she converting Black people to the GOP? No. But she gets to be the darling of alt-right conservative politics. And she's married to a wealthy white man who is invested in these sort of politics. And he owns a website called Parler that's supposed to be like the antithesis to what was formerly the more restricted Twitter before Elon Musk purchased the website. Now, Parler is branded as the premier global free speech app, where when Donald Trump is suspended from Twitter and all these various people are suspended from Twitter, they can go to Parler. And she has convinced Kanye West to purchase Parler. Who's the smart one here? Who is leading who here? Is Kanye leading Candace, or is Candace leading Kanye? Is Kanye using Candace, or is Candace using Kanye? Because now her money, right? Because she convinced Kanye to purchase her husband's social media app. But now that he's losing deals because of his anti-Semitism, what does that mean for the value that she saw in her proximity to Kanye West? So at Paris Fashion Week, Kanye West trots out these White Lives Matter shirts. And from the get-go, it just creates a ruckus. He goes after a Black woman fashion critic because she, during the event, was aghast, was disgusted, and was one of the few people bold enough to speak out about it. Gabriella Carifa Johnson, who he went after, beautiful woman, is like, and then they met for lunch, and then he's still like, is just talking out his ass. And that isn't even the most like egregious thing he does. He has Saleha Marley, Lauryn Hill, and which Marley child's daughter is she, in the White Lives Matter shirt at his Yeezy fashion show. I think it's interesting that those shirts can be put on the runway and it doesn't cause anybody to walk away from him. But Saleha Marley, who no, I don't think she deserves the heat. All these people that were in attendance, Naomi Campbell, and nobody had anything to say about the White Lives Matter shirts. Like, this is all the folks at the show. Huh? This is the front of the shirt. And here we go. There's the shirt. There's the White Lives Matter shirt. Everybody saw that and nobody had anything to say except for Gabriella. And then we have, this was Saleha's response. The past 24 hours has allowed me to realize that most of y'all are stuck in a hive mind mentality. You do what the group tells you to do and think what the group tells you to think. Witnessing someone break free from the agenda sends you all into such a panic that you will do whatever it takes to force them back into the box that you feel they should exist in. All morale and empathy is eliminated due to the fact that you feel justified by your emotions. The victim becomes a victimizer. You cannot bully me, manipulate me, or coax me into silence, nor will you bully me into being who you want me to be. I don't care how many tweets you make, DMs you send, or articles you write. Throughout all of the chaos, I have yet to speak on my experience. If you know me, you know that nothing I do is without deep thought and intention. Wait till you hear what I have to say. And I actually think that like her response kind of speaks to why it took the anti-Semitism for him to get knocked down a peg. And there's no repercussions for anti-blackness, because I think Saleha's response is kind of on a more intellectual side of a lot of support that Kanye continually gets for his anti-Black bigotry, because, you know, this is something that I'm always talking about, that the mis and disinformation that travels with the Black digital landscape is so thoroughly codified. And that, like, when you even think of like fringe movements, whether it's like the January 6th, alt-right movements, the manosphere, the incel movement, a lot of their rhetoric and language that we are aghast at when we hear it coming from white men is already mainstream rhetoric in the Black community. This is already brought into the community, and like we're just so used to it that you will turn on the radio and DL Hughley or Ricky Smiley's co-host or Charlemagne himself are arguing in support of like Kanye being a free thinker. And maybe we just don't understand where he's coming from. But even Charlemagne, who generally speaking will support Kanye, he didn't have no pushback until the George Floyd comments, which got wrapped into the anti-Semitism. So you see people that have positioned themselves as Black intellectuals who have no actual intellect have also been the ones who have been very supportive of Kanye. Okay, so Slaya says, I think he's sleeping, but I'm ready for us to have the conversation. Tell Kanye to text me when he wakes up so we continue to move this conversation forward and provide the necessary clarity, depth, and healing we are collectively in need of. Love you guys regardless. Like, you can't even get this man to respond to your text, but you're going to go out of your way to defend him? So yes, you have to look at these various people that, at a minimum brand themselves as Black cultural commentators in the pop culture sense, if not fully as political thinkers and as intellectuals who have branded themselves as such, who have been very supportive of Kanye West. I think you can look at Charlemagne. I turned on the radio briefly after Kanye first started with the BS, and somebody was like, doing the shade room thoughts question sort of segment about Kanye. What are your thoughts? And people were defending him.
Party. I forgive the Jewish media for creating the Ye's crazy narrative and, buying up the Black voice and bullying us and creating a mob culture to scare people that anytime they bring up that a contract was wrong is labeled anti-Semite as a way to disable people from their truth. I forgive the Jewish culture for that. One of the things that his two roommates said was, they want a tall guy like me. They want a tall guy like me. And the day when he died, he said a prayer for, 8 minutes. Mm-hmm. He said a prayer for 8 minutes. They hit him with the fentanyl. If you look, the guy's knee wasn't even on his neck like that. When he said mama is his girlfriend. They said he screamed for his mama. Mama was his girlfriend. It's in the documentary. But something that hit me, that fucked me up when I was watching the documentary, and it said, they want a tall guy like me. When I looked at that image of him, this tall Black dude with the bald head, he reminded me of somebody else. Who do you think he reminded me of?
Virgil.
He reminded me of Virgil. You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna cry in front of y'all because that's how they get me, right?
Right.
He's talking about watching Candace Owens produce documentary on Black Lives Matter. And in that documentary, which I'm going to watch at some point before I do the Candace Owens video, she rewrites the narrative of George Floyd's death. And an effort. And that's why this girl she's such bullshit, because like there is legitimate critique, and we're going to discuss this month, about accountability and the sort of lost opportunity that we had with the Black Lives Matter fallout. There's legitimate critique of the nonprofit organization. But for you to go and take this moment that was a very critical moment in Black activism and try to rewrite the narrative because you have such an eye out for taking down Patrisse Cullors that you have to go to the event that was like a watershed moment that caused the 2020 protests. Like when you realize just how foul like Candace Owens is, it's really, I don't have nothing positive to say. The thing I want to say might have the CIA come to my front door. You know what I mean? I think sometimes there's some people that that we need to get biblical with. And so Kanye in this Drink Champs interview Noriega and his co-host, you're asking why doesn't the Black community, why like when anti-blackness happens, that's not enough for corporations to take it down. You can't even find, like, so much shit has been taken off the internet around the pushback from that Drink Champs interview. But when they first posted it, Noriega was so excited about the numbers. He posted about how well that interview was doing. They sat for 3 hours. And look, I actually, generally speaking, have liked quite a few of the Drink Champs interviews, but the hosts aren't good. The interviewer has to be good. And that's why you get some artists like, who was it? Was it Tank, who did a really good interview, but he knows how to command an interview? Tank is a very charismatic, good interviewer, good talker, somebody who people don't generally know a whole lot about. He's well venerated in the industry. And so I think Drink Champs has gotten off on the fact that they have access to Patti LaBelle's, to Tanks, to other very notable artists in the industry, and not that they know how to interview properly. And so they did an interview with him, and the entire time they're just like, oh, like, even that, like their whole anti-Semitic, it's such egregious rhetoric, because I don't know, how are we not being taught about the Holocaust? Do I only have knowledge of it because my family's Jehovah's Witness, and Jehovah's Witnesses have produced several documentaries that we had to watch as children about the Holocaust, because Jehovah's Witnesses were included with Jews in concentration camps? I definitely, every other year, went to the Holocaust Museum. The first book I remember learning about was Revelations, and this whole idea that, like, the end of the world is going to be the worst thing that's ever happened in mankind. And I'm like, worse than slavery? Worse than the Holocaust? Oh, girl, I don't want to be here for it. No, please don't let it happen during my lifetime. I am not trying to experience whatever you think that might be. And I remember going to the Holocaust Museum and being like, there's no way y'all want to teach me that the end of the world is coming and niggas going to do such crazy atrocities that we have never seen them before, and it's going to be worse than this. They be having them little rooms where you can, like, hear the voices. No, baby, no. You can't tell me it's going to be worse than this. But, like, one of the things when you learn, like, even on a very, 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 very surface level, learning the Holocaust Museum or the Holocaust at large, like, even if maybe, like, you just had to read Anne Frank's book. And so very early on, learning about the anti-Semitic rhetoric that helped to spur on the Holocaust, in that it was rooted in the Jewish people working in the banking system, and this idea that because of whatever religious conventions existed for Christians, that they were not involved in the bank system. And so the Jews came in and ran the financial systems, and then these negative caricatures or stereotypes were created about them, and then that led to, oh, well, we believe that we don't have access and means because the Jews control the banks, so we have to, like, abolish the Jews, which is in part kind of led to this sort of Aryan race propaganda that Hitler was allowed to promulgate in Germany. So to then get on the Drink Champs and say the Jews own everything in the music industry, and the Jews are the ones that are taking us down, people just make comparisons about, like, Kanye and other, like, white men who have performed bad behavior, but, like, these white men aren't going to do interviews. Like, Harvey Weinstein is not getting on podcasts to talk about another ethnic group of people. I don't know, like, the anti-Semitism is so clearly understood that I can even sit here and give a very loose historical tread of how the rhetoric that Kanye is promoting in Drink Champs and how that connects to the bigotry that helped spur the Holocaust, right? And we generally understand it. But if I get into a video and I do videos on this exact topic, how our current rhetoric is invested in anti-Black violence. And here's the connection, and I'm told, oh, slavery is in the past. Why are you worried about it now? It don't have no standing. For Kanye to get up and say slavery was a choice, there are Black people who en masse are going to tell me, I'm thinking too deep. I'm taking it too personal. And then he turns around, and we talk about this literally in my last video about the Black rappers Jesus complex. Kanye makes these deeply anti-Black, deeply violent statement when he talks about why he partnered with Kim Kardashian and why he had children with her. But, you know, Kanye talking about making model children, or the slavery is a choice thing, or the way he even I don't consider Amber Rose a Black woman, but even the way he talked about she stank and the bath she needed to take. and the way he has been on a campaign trail for Candace Owens for the past 2-3 years and propping her up and really highlighting her visibility to a mainstream artist. And then we all see it. We are all watching this happen in real time. And then he dropped Sunday Service. And how many folks ate that shit up? Because it was half decent gospel music. He put out some church music. He got something that sounded similar to the Mississippi Gospel Choir. And people slurped that shit up. Because we love some niggas harmonizing. And then, you know, he came in with the Messiah complex. He came in with the godlike iconography. And through God, all things are possible, right? And that's why there is no swift decline that any person will experience in America around promulgating anti-blackness. Now, the George Floyd comments, yes, because that's recent history. Because I promise you, if he said something about Emmett Till, I don't know if the people would have been so inclined to like cut deals with him. But that George Floyd, I don't think the George Floyd comment alone would have got him taken down. It is that anti-Semitism is like, I don't like to peddle in this idea that ethnic groups do something better than other ethnic groups, but I do think there's just a stronger understanding of congruency, even in the way that we are so clear on pushing it back against neo-Nazism, about understanding that these images, even if you want to say swastika is an image used in Japan, in Japanese iconography, the swastika is a different symbol that means peace. And so we can reuse it in the way that they use it. It's still like, nah, don't play them games. Don't play them games with me. But we live in a country where the Civil War has been rewritten, and niggas will really argue over was it about slavery or was it about states' rights? I'm not trying to say that Black people are inherently the lesser people in this situation, but rather that we live in a system that is so thoroughly embedded in anti-Blackness that it's then hard for the people themselves to see. Because in order to survive in this system, part of you does have to admire the master here. And so, you know, a lot of our community overlooks a lot of anti-Blackness as a way to say that it is, oh, you're thinking like the sheep and you're not enlightened and you just don't understand this different way of thinking. And that's why Kanye will largely get away with his bad behavior. That's why he can offer this half-ass apology to George Floyd's family after a lawsuit is filed.